The moment you let emotions take over, you've already given away control. Think about it: when you snap back, when your voice rises, when frustration leaks out, you're not leading anymore. You're following the heat of the moment. And that's exactly where the other person wants you. Because if they can pull you into reaction, they don't have to win with logic. They win with chaos. Control doesn't disappear because of what someone said. It disappears the second you let what they said own you. Staying calm isn't about ignoring your feelings. It's about proving to yourself that no one else gets to drive your decisions but you. That's real power. That pause before you respond, that's where your power lives. Most people rush to fill silence because they're uncomfortable with it. But silence isn't weakness. Silence is control. When you pause, you create space between their words and your reaction. You give yourself time to think, to breathe, to choose instead of just react. That tiny pause sends a clear message. I won't be dragged into your storm. I set the pace here. And the truth is, the one who sets the pace sets the tone, and the one who sets the tone owns the conversation. When emotions start rising, the fastest way to steady yourself is to breathe. Deep, slow, intentional. Because when tension hits, your body wants to speed up. Your heart races, your words stumble, your thoughts scatter. But one deep breath pulls you back. It slows your pulse, clears your head, and reminds you that you're still in charge. People think control is about saying the perfect thing, but it's not. Control starts in your body. If you can control your breath, you can control your voice. And if you can control your voice, you can control the whole room. Words are like tools, and the problem most people face in heated conversations is they swing them like weapons. They throw them without aim, without thought, hoping to hit something that makes them feel like they won. But here's the thing: you don't win anything by throwing words like stones. You only break trust, you only create distance, and you only give the other person more ammunition to use against you. The person who throws words recklessly might feel powerful in the moment, but what they're really doing is losing the one thing that matters most in control: credibility. When emotions are high, the easiest thing to do is to lash out, to say the first sharp thing that comes to mind, to make the other person hurt the way you feel hurt. That's the impulse of a reactive mind. But real strength, real influence, comes from slowing down enough to aim your words like arrows. Every arrow has direction, every arrow has purpose, and when your words are chosen, not thrown, they don't just hit harder, they last longer. Think about it. We've all had conversations where someone said something careless. They didn't even think before they said it, but those words burned into our memory for years. Maybe it was a parent, maybe it was a boss, maybe it was a friend in the middle of an argument, and every time you think back, you can still hear it, word for word. That's the power of words when they're thrown carelessly. Now flip that. Imagine what happens when you choose your words with care, with clarity, with intention. People remember that too. They remember how you made them feel safe in the middle of chaos. They remember how you didn't add fuel to the fire, but instead brought calm to the storm. That's influence. Choosing words doesn't mean watering them down or avoiding the truth. It means shaping them in a way that actually serves your goal. Do you want resolution or do you want revenge? Do you want to build connection or do you want to prove a point? Because words can do both, but they can't do both at the same time. And here's the hard truth: proving a point usually costs you the connection. But choosing words wisely can give you both the clarity of your point and the strength of the relationship. I want you to imagine a heated conversation like a courtroom. Every word you say is evidence, and the jury, the people watching, the people listening, even the other person themselves, they're taking notes. They may forget your tone, they may forget your body language, but they won't forget your words. If you throw them recklessly, you lose credibility. If you choose them carefully, you gain authority. That's how you control a conversation without ever raising your voice. Let me tell you this. Reckless words are like firecrackers. They're loud, they explode, they get everyone's attention for a moment. But then, they're gone. They leave behind smoke, a mess, maybe some damage. Chosen words, on the other hand, are like seeds. They may not explode in the moment, but they plant something lasting. They create roots. They grow into trust, respect, and influence. And that's the difference between someone who reacts in the moment and someone who leads in the moment. You might think, but what if I don't have the right words in the heat of it? That's okay. The best thing you can do in that moment is pause, breathe, and give yourself permission to not speak until you're ready. Silence, when it's intentional, is never weakness. It tells the other person, I'm not going to play your game. I'm not here to throw punches with my words. I'm here to handle this with control. And when you finally speak, those words carry weight because they've been measured, and measured words always outlast impulsive ones. Here's what people don't realize. Every word you say either deposits into the bank of your credibility or withdraws from it. If you throw words in anger, you're making withdrawals, and if you do it long enough, your account runs dry. And when that happens, no one listens to you anymore, not because you're not speaking, but because your words have lost their value. But if you choose words carefully, every conversation becomes a deposit, and over time, people lean in when you speak because they know what's coming will matter. Now, think about conversations that turned emotional in your life. Maybe someone shouted at you, insulted you, accused you, and in that moment, you wanted to fire back. But imagine if instead of throwing words, you chose them. Instead of saying, you always do this, you never listen, you said, I hear you, but here's where I stand. Instead of, you don't care about me, you said, this matters to me, and I need you to understand why. Those differences are small in words, but massive in impact. One escalates, the other de-escalates. One creates walls, the other opens doors. That's the art of choosing. And the more emotional the conversation, the more powerful your choice becomes. Anyone can speak well when it's calm. But to choose your words when emotions are high, that's mastery. That's where respect is earned, and that's where influence is built. So here's a challenge. The next time you're in a heated conversation, catch yourself. Before you let the first sharp phrase fly, ask yourself, does this serve me, or does this just satisfy me? Because satisfying your emotion in the moment might feel good, but serving your long-term goal, that feels powerful. Choosing words that align with your goal is what keeps you in control. Let's be honest, people expect you to lose it. They expect you to snap back, to defend yourself, to match their energy. That's the pattern. But when you break that pattern, when you lower your tone, when you speak with precision instead of impulse, you shock them. You take away their script, and when they don't know how to respond, they're no longer in charge of the conversation. You are. Every word is a decision. Throw it, and it controls you. Choose it, and it serves you. That's the difference between someone who survives conversations and someone who leads them. And the person who leads them, that's the person who walks away not just respected, but remembered. Here's the thing most people never realize about conversations that get heated. Tone sets the temperature. The words matter, sure, but the tone, that's the thermostat. And if you let your tone match theirs, if they shout and you shout back, if they get sharp and you get sharper, you've just agreed to fight in their arena. And when you play on their terms, you've already lost control. Matching tone is easy, it's automatic. But controlling tone, that's leadership. When someone raises their voice at you, your instinct is to rise with them. That's survival mode talking. It's your body saying, defend yourself, push back, show you're not weak. But here's the truth. Volume doesn't equal strength. Decibels don't equal authority. In fact, the louder someone gets, the more it reveals they're losing grip. Think about it. When you know you're right, when you're calm and steady, do you need to shout? No. Calmness is the confidence that doesn't need noise. And that's the move that flips the script. When they come in hot and you come in cool, the contrast is undeniable. It forces them to notice, because tension can't thrive without echo. Fire needs fire, and when you refuse to mirror their chaos, their flame has nowhere to land. Suddenly, the noise starts to sound like noise, and your calm voice becomes the anchor in the room. That's influence. You've probably been in situations where someone was yelling and another person stayed calm. Who did the room respect more? Who did people lean toward? Not the loud one, the steady one, because steadiness feels safe. It feels controlled. It feels like authority. That's what happens when you refuse to match tone. And here's what makes it powerful. Lowering your tone doesn't just affect them, it affects you. Your body listens to your own voice. When you speak softer, slower, steadier, your heart rate starts to follow. Your emotions calm down, you regain control from the inside out, so you're not just changing the conversation, you're changing yourself in the middle of it. Imagine it like music. If someone's blaring heavy drums at full volume and you respond with the same, all anyone hears is noise. But if you bring in a steady, quiet rhythm, suddenly the contrast makes people pay attention. The loudness becomes exhausting, the calmness becomes magnetic. People lean into what's steady because it cuts through the chaos. Here's the mistake most people make. They think being calm means being passive, being soft, being walked over. But that's not it at all. Calmness doesn't mean you agree. Calmness doesn't mean you back down. Calmness means you've chosen not to let their chaos dictate your delivery. You still say what you need to say, you just say it in a way that can't be used against you. Because let's be real, when you shout, when you match fire with fire, what do people remember? They don't remember your point, they don't remember your argument, they remember how you lost it, they remember your tone more than your truth. But when you stay calm, they're forced to focus on your words, not your volume, and words chosen carefully, delivered steadily. That's how change happens. That's how respect is built. So the next time someone raises their tone, try this. Instead of matching, lower yours. Instead of speeding up, slow down. Instead of letting your voice climb, let it settle, and watch what happens. Watch how the energy in the room shifts. Watch how their fire loses fuel. Watch how control quietly returns to you, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. That's the paradox of control in conversations. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the voice that doesn't flinch. And when you master your tone, you master the room. Not every hook deserves a bite. That's the trap most people fall into in emotional conversations. They take the bait. Someone throws an insult, and you feel that sting. Someone makes an accusation, and immediately you want to defend. Someone twists your words, and you can't resist jumping in to correct them. That's the bait, and every time you bite, you've just handed over control. Because now, instead of steering the conversation, you're reacting to it. You're chasing, not leading. Here's the truth, people bait you because it works. They know if they press the right button, you'll explode or shut down or get flustered. And once they've got you in that space, they're running the show. But when you refuse to take the bait, when you let the hook dangle in front of you without biting, that's when you flip the dynamic. Because nothing frustrates a bait thrower more than someone who won't grab it. Think about fishing. The bait isn't the point, the hook is. The bait is just there to trigger the reaction. If you see it for what it is, you don't fall for it. Same thing in conversations. The insult, that's bait. The sarcasm, bait. The exaggeration, bait. The you always or you never statements, pure bait. If you react to everyone, you're not controlling the conversation. You're being controlled by it. Detaching from the bait doesn't mean you ignore the conversation. It means you decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Not everything that's thrown at you requires a swing. Sometimes the strongest move is no move at all. Because when you don't rise to the bait, The other person has to face their own words without the drama they were hoping to create. And that silence, that refusal, often speaks louder than any comeback ever could. The hardest part about this is your pride. Pride hates being baited. Pride wants to win the moment, clap back, drop the mic. But pride doesn't care about control. It only cares about comfort. Control says, let it go, stay the course, don't bite. And that's the real strength, because if you can starve your pride for just a moment, you can feed your influence for a lifetime. Picture yourself in an argument. They say something wild, maybe even cruel, and you feel your chest tighten, your mind load up a comeback. That's the moment of choice. If you bite, you're stuck in their game. If you detach, you've just proven you're playing a different one. You're showing them, you can't pull me like a puppet, my strings belong to me, and that's when the balance shifts. Here's what makes it powerful. When you don't take the bait, you actually gain more clarity. Your emotions don't hijack the steering wheel. You can see the whole conversation for what it really is, not just the trap they're setting. You start to notice patterns, motives, the bigger picture. And with that perspective, you can steer the conversation toward resolution instead of collision. So, the next time bait shows up, and trust me, it will, pause and ask yourself, if I answer this, am I in control, or am I being controlled? If it's bait, let it sink. Because not every hook is worth your mouth. When emotions are running high, most people default to defending, explaining, or firing back. But one of the strongest moves you can make isn't to react, it's to get curious, ask questions. Curiosity disarms tension faster than any defense ever will. Because when you ask instead of argue, you flip the energy. You stop pushing and start pulling, and people don't expect that. Think about it. Someone comes at you with anger, and instead of matching that anger, you say, help me understand why this matters to you so much, or what do you need from me right now? Those kinds of questions cut through the heat, because they shift the focus from fighting to explaining. And when someone explains, they move from emotion to reason. You're essentially guiding them out of reaction mode without them even realizing it. Questions are powerful because they put the responsibility back on the other person. If someone accuses you and you immediately defend yourself, the spotlight's on you. But if instead you ask, what makes you feel that way? Now they have to slow down and actually think about their answer. And here's the kicker. Many times, people don't even know why they're reacting the way they are. By asking, you force them to process, and in that pause, the emotion loses steam. Another thing about questions, they show control without aggression. They signal that you're not threatened, you're not rattled, you're steady enough to lean in instead of lash out. That confidence is magnetic. It changes the dynamic from a battle to a conversation, and often, when people feel heard, really heard, the intensity drops on its own. The mistake most people make is thinking questions make you look weak, like you're giving the other person the floor. But it's the opposite. Questions are steering wheels. You're not giving up control, you're directing it. You're saying, this conversation won't be about your fire, it'll be about clarity, and clarity always cools things down. Try it. Next time someone comes at you hot, instead of defending, ask, what do you want me to take away from what you just said? That one line alone shifts everything. Because now they have to think, they have to reflect, they have to meet you where you are, calm, intentional, controlled. And suddenly they're dancing to your rhythm, not the other way around. That's the quiet power of questions. They don't just give you information, they give you back the wheel. Here's where most people lose control in emotional conversations. They forget the goal. They get so caught up in feelings, hurt, anger, pride, that they start chasing the emotion instead of the outcome. And when you chase emotions, you end up miles away from where you actually wanted to go. Think about it. What's the real reason you're even in the conversation? Do you want to solve a problem, set a boundary, repair a relationship, protect your peace? Or do you just want to prove you're right? Because proving you're right might feel good in the moment, but if it costs you the actual outcome, then what did you really win? Staying focused on your goal means you treat emotions like noise on the radio. They're there, you can hear them, but you don't let them drown out the song you came to play. If your goal is resolution, then every word you choose, every question you ask, every pause you take should move you closer to that. If your goal is clarity, then don't get dragged into defending your character when all you need to do is explain your perspective. If your goal is peace, then stop chasing points and start choosing exits. Here's the trap: the other person might not care about the goal. They might just want to vent or to hurt or to pull you down into their storm. And if you lose sight of why you're there, you'll get swept right in. That's why you have to anchor yourself before you walk into the conversation or in the middle of it when things heat up. Ask yourself, what do I want to walk away with? Not, how do I want to feel in the moment, but what do I want at the end? When you lock onto that, it changes everything. Someone throws an insult, and instead of firing back, you think, does this help me get closer to my goal? No. So you let it pass, they get louder, and instead of raising your voice, you think, does matching their volume help me reach my outcome? No. So you stay steady. That focus becomes your filter. It stops you from wasting energy on battles that don't move you forward. And here's the irony: when you stick to the goal, you often end up with both the outcome you wanted and the respect you didn't even ask for. Because people notice when you refuse to be dragged into petty arguments. They notice when you hold your ground with calm and purpose. That's leadership, and leadership is influence. So don't let the storm of emotion make you forget why you even walked into the room. Keep your eyes on the outcome, and you'll never lose control of the direction. Your words carry weight, but your body often speaks louder. In an emotional conversation, people don't just listen to what you say, they watch how you carry yourself. If your arms are crossed, if your eyes dart away, if your hands are fidgeting, you're sending a message before you even open your mouth. And the message is, I'm rattled. But when your posture is steady, when your breathing is calm, when your eye contact is level, you're saying, without a word, I'm in control. Body language is your unspoken amplifier. A calm tone, backed by shaky posture, doesn't land the same. People sense the disconnect, but a calm tone supported by relaxed shoulders, steady gestures, and grounded presence, that's power you don't even have to announce. Because influence isn't just what they hear, it's what they feel when they're in the room with you. Think about a leader you respect. Chances are, it wasn't just their words that stuck with you. It was how they stood, how they walked, how they didn't flinch under pressure. That composure is magnetic. It's the kind of presence that makes people lean in, even in the middle of chaos. And you can create that, too, not by pretending, but by practicing. The trick is to let your body do what you want your mind to believe. If you feel shaky inside, plant your feet on the ground. If your heart is racing, slow your hands, let your movements be deliberate. If your thoughts are scattered, steady your eye contact. Your body is like a feedback loop. Calm actions create calm feelings. And calm feelings create calm words. Here's the part most people miss. Your body language doesn't just influence them, it influences you. When you physically choose stillness, your brain gets the signal. We're not in danger, we're not out of control, we're safe. That one shift changes how you deliver every word. Suddenly, you're not just saying you're calm, you are calm. And here's where it gets even better. The other person feels it. They might be flailing, shouting, throwing bait, but when they look at you and see steadiness, it unsettles them. Because they realize they can't shake you. And when someone can't shake you, they can't control you. That's the quiet strength of body language. It reinforces your words with proof. So in that heated moment, don't just think about what you're saying. Think about what you're showing, because sometimes your posture is the loudest sentence in the room. Control isn't about silencing the other person, and it's not about winning every point. Control is influence. It's the ability to steer the room without forcing it. And the person with the most influence in an emotional conversation is the one who refuses to lose themselves in it. Because here's the truth: anyone can get loud, anyone can get angry, anyone can get defensive. That's easy. But the one who stays calm, steady, grounded, that's the one everyone remembers. When you keep your composure, you become the anchor. People feel it. The other person may not admit it, but deep down they sense it too. They realize, I can't drag this person into my chaos. They won't play my game. And that realization shifts the power, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. Think about it. When two people are shouting, outsiders can't tell who's right. But when one person stays calm and the other unravels, it's clear where the strength is. Calmness makes your words credible. Calmness makes people listen. Calmness makes you memorable long after the noise fades. And influence doesn't just end when the conversation ends. People replay it later in their heads. They think about how you didn't take the bait, how you didn't match their tone, how you chose your words like tools instead of weapons. And the more they think about it, the more they respect it. That's control, not in the moment alone, but in the echo that follows. So staying in control, even when things get emotional, isn't just about that one conversation. It's about building a reputation. A reputation for being steady, for being clear, for being someone who can't be shaken. And once you have that reputation, people approach you differently. They listen differently. They respond differently. Because deep down, everyone respects the person who can stay in control when emotions try to take it away. And that's the real win, not that you silenced them, not that you proved you were right in the heat of the moment, but that you never lost yourself. Because control isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering you. It's about choosing calm over chaos, direction over distraction, clarity over pride. And the truth is, people won't always remember every word you said, but they'll never forget how you carried yourself when things got hard. So the next time a conversation turns emotional, remind yourself, the loudest voice isn't the strongest one, the calmest voice is. That's where influence lives, that's where respect grows, and that's how you stay in control, no matter how hot the moment gets.